You know, I really get to wonder how will Bruce Wayne ever going to talk to Officer John Blake? Will he talk to in his normal Bruce Wayne voice? I bet he will. But he's going to have to visit Commissioner James Gordon in the hospital later in the near future. Why? Because it is time that we go fight and punch crime in the face. This is Arkham Twin Days. Hi there, viewers. I am Leo Wolverine, your founding member and game commentator of Leo's Let's Plays Alliance. As we're going to continue our story and progress of the Dark Knight Rises movie story. This is part 2. So, now that we finished part 1, on to part 2. So now that Officer John Blake is going to tells Bruce Wayne a story about he didn't believe that the Batman actually killed Harvey Dent. He actually did something more because he knows that the Bat don't kill, even though that Christopher Nolan has justified the movie that the Dark Knight doesn't kill, but the Batman does kill because he says, you remember what he told to Ra's al Ghul, says, I won't kill you, but I don't have to save you. Of that kind of matter. So yeah, he will not kill, but he doesn't have to save the bad guy. So and that is an interesting meme that'll echo throughout the rest of other Batman movies, like Batman vs. Superman and Justice League. Even though the Bat don't kill, he doesn't have to kill them, but he won't have to save them. That's just twisted. Sorry, that was dark. Anyways, so John Blake tell him about that he's a rich boy, that he is hanging out with the ladies, and how he helped out the Children's Foundation, and it absolutely kind of stopped funding of the Wayne Foundation. He says, when did it stop funding? It's like several months ago or longer. So yeah, and John Blake was actually one of the and he told Bruce Wayne, he says, my father died during an incident with the mob, and then that's why I became an officer, to stop bad guys. I mean, and sometimes you have to, like, wear this mask on your face, practice smiling and being happy all the time, so you can endure the pain, and nobody will see the pain no one will see your pain, or others as well, or something like that. I mean, so nobody will see your pain, only you can see theirs, if you want to know. If you're smart that way. And so, for that matter, Bruce Wayne wants to try to fund that money for the Children's Wayne Hospital. So, yeah. So, what is he going to do about it? Well, it's as simple. He is going to do something about it he would never do. First, he has to go to James Gordon, from where he's at, the hospital he's in. And so for that matter, and so he asks one of the doctors, and he says, and one of the doctors says, there's no cartilage on your leg or your knee. He says, really? So I'm okay? He says, yes, but I wouldn't suggest you go heli-skiing if you want to know. So, yeah. Even though he had some of those sudden hard superhero landing impacts, which would actually break a normal person's fall, because You're not wearing the special kind of padding that protects you from superhero landing falls that breaks your legs. So yeah. So how in heaven's name he's gonna pull this off? Well, since he's gonna go meet the hospital, I have an idea. He's going to go down zooming, and guess what? He has to wear this ski mask so that way Jim Gordon doesn't say it's Batman. Of course, he wants to say it's Batman, but he actually knows who it is, even though it is Batman wearing a different mask. So why not? And Jim Gordon says that the Batman has to come back. And Bruce Wayne trying to talk in his Batman voice saying, what if he doesn't exist anymore? And Jim Gordon keeps on telling, he says, the Batman has to come back. Even though he's on medication, but he has to get some sleep, even though he had one razzle-dazzle ride on the sewers. Of course, I'll tell you the locations just a little bit later on, because where the movie takes place, not just in some places of Gotham, but other cities as well. Or should I say some other countries. Besides the one in China and the other one, which is Chicago, back on the second movie of the Dark Knight movie. And so, Bruce Wayne how do I say this? And even though he's going to, went to Lucius Fox, and then he said something about, even though you did bank about most of my money, but Lucius Fox says, actually, you did that. Because he was kind of almost being careless. And he wanted to end this conversation about something, if you want to know what's going on. And then, even though, doesn't this conversation end with something logical, like some sort of mission? He says, not today. Today I'm officially retired. He says, okay, but why not we do it one more time? Just for old time's sake. And so, yeah. And so, for that, he's gonna do it. And guess what? And Lucius Fox is just now showing off, which is awesome! Yes! He is showing off all the gadgets. So, yay! And guess what is going to happen next? He shows this spectacular hover vehicle. And, oh yeah, that is sweet. And he calls it the Bat. And Lucius Fox says, and yes, it does come in black. Yeah, it does come in black. And now Bruce Wayne is interested to go back into the game. So he decides to come back as the Dark Knight vigilante hero, as Batman. So yes, but first he has to get his leg or his knee fixed, like because of that impact. And he feels the scrunches. Oh! And Alfred says, painful. And Bruce Wayne says, you're welcome to try it, Alfred. And he says, I can see everything around here down, sir. Thank you very much. And he tries to test it out. And it's like, wow. Super strong. He absolutely can be able to kick bricks really well. So, yeah. Unbelievable how he kicks the bricks and all that. now that his leg is fully back to normal because of that specialized, I don't know, it's not an implant, it's more like a leg, some kind of leg mechanism that supports his leg or his knee, or if you want to know, it's just interesting. Oh, it's just funny. So he is going to, until he waits for the right moment. Of course, you'll see Bane coming up next. Oh boy. So, what are they going to try to do? Rob a bank or some sort? Who knows? I have no idea what Bane's suggestive guess, perhaps. But in the meantime, he has the League of Assassins or the Ninja or this henchman. I don't know. Where did he get them? Even though they're not ninjas or the League or the League of Shadows is kind of beyond my question and my comprehension. So yeah, it's pretty obvious. They're going to a stock exchange, and something tells me they're going to have to go past security first. And even though that these officers don't realize, or the guards, he takes off the motorcycle mask, helmet, and reveals the officer and the guard, and like, this guard was shocked. It's like, what is that? And then beats up the guards, and then mayhem across everywhere. Oh my. So yeah. And now that things are going to go wrong, how in the world are they going to solve a problem of the predicament? Sorry. Just don't know how to say predicament. They start firing bullets in the air, and the people are yelling, screaming, and says, and then keep your heads down or some sort. And then one of them says, "There's no money. This is the stock exchange, for crying out loud." And Bane says, "Really? And why are you people here?" And so he is going to use this tablet or this kind of Wi-Fi or the signal to try to go into the people's money or someone's money, or go into Wayne Enterprises of some sort. And now that the GCPD people are going to take action, and they knew there are hostages in there because of Bane and his thugs, or even though they're not from South America. So once again, they're taken hostage, and of course, one of them says to cut the fiber cable that'll slow them down because it is everyone's money, of all of Gotham citizens and its people. If all the money's been transferred, all of Gotham would be broke. But they don't realize that it was the money of Wayne Enterprises, or Wayne's allowance, if you want to know. So, in other words, and they say they cut the fiber cable, and Bane says, "For now." And he asks, and Bane tells him how long it'll take, and he'll say it's a few minutes. And now Bane says, "Time to go mobile." So yeah, now they're gonna go mobile, Can't believe he threw a rock at me. Now they're gonna go mobile. And now all of a sudden the hostages, the people are walking out of the stock market. And now you see Officer John Blake and tells him to move the truck out of the way because we need space. And then this guy says, where should I move? And then here's something. And now that the motorcycles, and now he says, stay here, don't go anywhere. And now, how is this going to work? So now they're giving chase. And you're not going to believe that's going to come out of the shadows. If you want to know who's going to come out of the shadows, the officers seeing the lights under the tunnels of the highway of the Gotham City streets says, boy, you're going to have in for a surprise. So yeah, it's a surprise that comes who, and guess who shows up, and it's none other than Batman! The Dark Knight returns! So yeah, the Dark Knight returns for an encore to finish what he started! So yes! And then one of the rookie officers fires a shot at, like, really? You shoot at Batman because he was stopping this thug there? And it says, sorry. And one of the officers says, one of the veteran officers says, put your gun away. You're gonna shoot someone in the eye out, or you know. And now finally that the Batman has showed up. Now every GCPD officer knows that the Batman has finally showed up who killed Harvey Dent, even though he didn't kill him, but he didn't want to save him. So he did the honorable thing. He didn't kill him, but he didn't save him, sort of way. It's just yeah. I don't know how I feel about this. Even if it does work. And with all the pile of scraps. So one of the officers would do something that he says, who rides with Officer John Blake, and he says, do we follow this Bane, so-called Bane man, or do we follow Batman? He says, I'm going to do something what Jim Gordon would never do. And Officer John Blake says, what's that? He says, I'm going to capture the Batman. And what about that so-called bad guy named Bane? He says, what do you want? That thug or that other guy who killed Harvey Dent? Because I'd rather not say it, because you gotta watch the movie because it is rated PG-13, and I'm not gonna do it. So boo-hoo! And now each and every officer of GCPD are now giving chase to Batman. And you hear this, you only hear this fantastic music of Hans Zimmer, and this time there is no James Newton Howard, only the music of Hans Zimmer, which sounds really, the music of Hans Zimmer is not too bad, but it sounds fantastic if you want to know. I'm not saying it's terrible, he's really good, okay? Because everybody's a critic. And so for that, Batman is now being chased by the GCPD. Then he goes into this dark alleyway. The music sounds really cool and awesome. It sounds like the first movie of Batman Begins. So now that the GCPD caught him in the dark alleyway, they think he's trapped. But because he rides the Bat Pod, But the officers had another thing in common. He's riding the Bat. The hovercraft vehicle as the Bat. And it comes in black and he takes off. And Officer John Blake says, "You sure that's him?" and this officer just hands the headphone for Officer Foley. Yep, Officer Foley hands the speakerphone to John Blake. And it was a Captain Picard facepalm moment for him. He's just hide your shame, Officer Foley, hide your shame. It was funny, but I absolutely love it. Now that the Batman is back to work, what is he going to do next? Well, it's simple. Like always, he's going to have to clean up the streets, just like what he did back in Gotham. Oh my. So he finds the tablet and all and everything else of what's going on, and then he picks up this flash drive and he says his name is Bane, all that, and something about what he's doing. And he tells Alfred to give this flash drive or this drive to Lucius Fox. He can crack the code and figure out what his next location will be at. And Alfred just talks about Bruce Wayne. He says, "You're finally back in the war, but I'll do this. I'll give this to Lucius Fox or something, but no more." He says, "Alfred, that's enough." Even though things are getting a little bit hectic or hefty around here, and so there will be an inclusion or because things may not gonna go so well with Alfred and Bruce, even though Alfred couldn't run away from the truth. He knew about what's going to happen next, and Bruce Wayne, even though he hasn't moved on and hung up his cape but never moved on, but now he did not hang his cape. He is back to work as the Batman of the Dark Knight himself. But I do believe we are going to stop here for the time being, and don't worry, we are going to continue to pick up from where we left off, and thanks for watching. And don't forget to like, comment, favorite, and subscribe, and tell me what do you guys think of the Dark Knight Rises movie, whether it's loved or hated by viewers, and mash that like button if you guys like Arkham Twin Days. So for anyways, this is Leo Wolverine saying and speaking as always as your sensational special being who takes chances, makes mistakes, and get messy in Leo's Let's Plays Alliance. Godspeed, play safe, and shalom. See you guys next time for more of Arkham Twin Days.